This is The Guide Gals, a modern, wedding-focused podcast by the experts at Here Comes the Guide. I'm Chelsea, a designer and inspired creative who's probably racked up over 12,000 hours on Pinterest, and the friend who's going to shoot it to you straight.
And I'm Caroline, a social media manager who is obsessed with dogs as ring bearers and will inevitably cry over your wedding video. We've seen it from all sides. We've been brides, planners, bridesmaids, and have worked with standout brands throughout the industry.
Think of us as an extension of your wedding party and hang out with us as we share the ins, outs, ups, and downs of the road to I do.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Guide Gals podcast. Today we're super excited about the episode. Gosh, I say that every week. I need to shut up with it, but this is a really fun one.
It is really fun. We're talking about trends today and kind of like what we think is like going to be next in weddings, but also like mostly like these are trends that we see on social media and ones that we really love. So we're going to be talking a lot about TikToks and stuff that we've seen today because our cookies, if that's even like the way to still say it, or like our algorithm is so wedding coded, just like based on our jobs, and we're not upset about it. So
no, it feels good. So really the layout of this episode is going to be each of us has brought a couple of TikToks and like trends that we're looking forward to and showcasing it to the other person, and then we're getting their reaction, and we'll just talk about some of the details of like why we think this is upcoming or things that you can do with this, pros and cons, that sort of thing. So that's kind of what it'll look like. Before we jump into all of that, of course, we're talking about our beverages of the day.
What are you drinking today, Caroline?
Guys, it's not that interesting. It's just water. But the thing that's interesting about it, I guess I have to make it interesting, is I got an Awala. You know us, we are Stanley stans. And I still am. But there is something about this that I really love because I can throw it into my dance bag and really like not worry about it spilling. That's been really nice. My criteria for a water bottle is it needs to fit in my car cup holder. It needs to be easy to carry, and it has to have a straw. Like those are my three. This one just has a little bonus of like it is easy to throw into a bag, or like it doesn't spill as much. I don't spill my Stanley all that much, but I know some people are like really worried about the spillage. But the thing I really love about this is it feels like an adult sippy cup. So like also opening it, super satisfying. But the like straw portion of it is also just even more satisfying. So I got the National Park Awala. So I have all my stickers on here for the national parks I have been to. I've been to 5. I've got some more on the docket coming up soon. So yeah, that's my beverage, is just water.
Good for you, because I am not drinking water and I probably should be. I do have a water bottle over here on my little table, but he's been a little neglected. I am drinking just some cold brew, which is like I feel like it's the opposite of water. So,
but sometimes a cold brew just hits like, oh my gosh, it's so good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having anxiety later. Can't wait.
Yeah. Okay, the trend that I'm bringing to the table is not something that is like new and groundbreaking. I just think like the focus is putting more and more and more behind this, and like the intentionality, the details, all of it is going to be more intentional within this genre. So I want to talk about micro weddings and intimate celebrations. Like really this idea of like just taking your truly nearest and dearest to the fanciest dinner party of your life. Like I love that. I think, and you've heard me talk about it before, like my wedding kind of ended up being this like unintentionally, but I loved it. And I love the emphasis that's being put on this. It is no longer a like want or a need. I mean, I think a lot of people still want this, but to have a huge elaborate celebration, I think these micro weddings and elopements and backyard weddings, which also I think Chelsea has to talk about as well, it's just such a beautiful and like intimate feel to a really important day in your life. Like this is such a special celebration, and to make it even more intimate where like you're going to enjoy every detail, you can spend a little bit more money on some things, but you're also probably saving on a lot of other things because your venue cost might be lower, the food cost is going to be lower, the decor cost is going to be lower. But the videos that I chose specifically are like, it feels like familial, like you are just gathered around a table and everybody's together. Like I love that feeling of like you are just all in it together, and like I can imagine really cute speeches. It makes me think honestly of the end scene of Mamma Mia where they're all like hanging out at the tables, like giving speeches and like singing, obviously because it's a musical, but it just feels so cozy and so magical. So that was something that I was like, yeah, I'm obsessed with this, and I hope we see even more and more and more of these things.
Yeah, and the two TikToks that you chose as your examples of this, I love so much. Like it just feels like just like a cozy, really beautiful like dinner party with your closest friends. So I can just imagine. I mean, like I think that like with COVID times, like sorry to say that word, trigger warning.
Yeah.
I think like those times like really made it, you know, like with your wedding, Caroline, like there was really no choice but for it to be like a more
Right.
intimate celebration. But it gained a lot of popularity and a lot of love. And I think that just like intimate celebrations in general are only going to become more popular. And I love it so much. I know that I always
For
have
sure.
like, it's just like so much more of a special time, like special, like heartfelt time. In my opinion, I think when there are less people and you just have the opportunity to connect with more of those people.
Yes.
So yeah, I love it. In those TikToks, it's yeah, I said dinner party because it seemed like both of them were just like all the guests are kind of at one big long table or like one I don't know table where everyone's kind of like together and you could almost see everybody there and yeah you get to like you know touch, and by touch I mean like connect with like all like
Yes.
everyone there, and that's just like really really cool. So yeah, I love that. Anything micro
I'm
intimate,
obsessed.
I'm a big fan.
Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is just the evolution of attire. I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about bridal fashion, just because I think that's something that I'm really drawn to. I love pretty dresses. I love gowns. I love all of this, and I remember feeling sad, like, oh my gosh, I don't get to wear my wedding. I love my wedding dress. I love it. It feels so ethereal and fun, and so that's actually a little bit of what I wanted to talk about. I think bridal fashion is really taking a little bit more of the spotlight recently. I've seen so many TikToks. In fact, I really should have linked another one in here where this one bride, and if I find it, I will include it just like later. And you can see all of these on our YouTube channel if you want to watch it, or they'll also be linked in the show notes if you want to check them out individually. But there's this one bride that I can think of who had like 5 outfit changes, and I thought that was so iconic. Like it is so cool.
Yeah.
But some of the things that we're seeing as like up and coming for 2025, obviously, like if you are interested in fashion at all, I think you've been seeing bubble skirts. I think they are making a huge comeback. Personally, for me and my body type, not going to work for me, and that's totally fine. But I think it does work for some other people. I really, really love it. I also have seen like, I think traditional lace detailing is still, I think it's always gonna be classic, it's always gonna be popular, but the way that it's almost becoming like a 3D kind of element, or like especially very floral focused like elements to it that give like lace like elements like that really frilly or like soft feminine kind of feel, but in a different way. I love seeing that. And then I personally love the drop waist. That one works for me. I love that one. I think it adds so much like cool interest to the dress. It's like classic, but also different. The way that it's done can be like in so many different ways, where it like it accentuates your hips a little bit more, or it just like makes you look like taller, longer. I don't know. They are beautiful. I think it really adds a very sleek elegance to it. And then another one I'm seeing a lot of, which actually isn't in this first TikTok, I'll see if I can find another one, but where they do like the scarf across the neck, but then it like drapes down the back. We've talked about that a lot, especially like there was someone in these celebrity weddings. So
Anna Sophia Robb.
Anna
Yeah.
Sophia Robb, yes. I was like, Anna Sophia Robb, stunning. I think also her dress was drop waist. I think it both had
I do
the
think
like,
it was. Yeah.
yeah, both had the scarf and the drop waist, like hitting both of those. I love it. I love it. I love it. I wish we could talk to people or like more of experts who like can tell us what's happening in up and coming in bridal fashion, because I think it is so cool to look back on the evolution of bridal fashion. I think another thing though that I have been seeing more of too, and I'm really excited about this, is more of the sustainable and ethical fashion. I see a lot of people renting their bridal like attire and like really being cognizant of like where they're sourcing their dresses, and understanding that like sometimes I will be paying more for it to be ethically sourced and made. There are a lot of companies who exist out there who are have like some predatory practices in my opinion, and like allegedly, whatever I need to say legally, that like covers our bases there, but like that really just prey on like putting heavy price tags on something that wasn't ethically made, that the like the materials are really awful, honestly, for the environment. So I love seeing that shift as well. I think it's a really cool thing to think about when you are thinking about all the aspects of your wedding, but also especially in terms of bridal fashion. So yeah, I'm obsessed with the way that trends are moving for this area.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like I'll forever be like just interested to see like what's going on in bridal fashion, because there's like never a time I think that it's not going to be just really fun. Like, you know, like, and it's
Mm-hmm.
always going to
Mm-hmm.
shift. But I think like the interesting part of bridal fashion is that there are always those classic elements. Like lace is never going to go out of style, and we will
Mm-hmm.
see people using it just in different ways, which will like shift like with the
Yeah.
trends. But just like you, Caroline, I am obsessed with the drop waist. I think it's so cool, and I love how classic it looks. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
not a new style by any means, but it's one that has come back
Right.
around and that we're seeing a lot, and it feels new in that way because it's like feeling trendy right now. Yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love the drop waist. In the video that you have found, this TikTok, like scrolling through it, I was like, ooh, like I really just felt good once we got to the drop
Mm-hmm.
waist section. So yeah.
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 And I think one thing too is like even just saying with the bubble skirts, like there's always going to be trends that move in a direction that like may not align with you, and that's totally fine. I think it's just fun to talk about
Right.
all of the trends. Maybe you're listening to this and you're like, ew, drop waist? That's fine. Like I think there are lots of different trends that happen all the time, and you never have to go with anything that's trending. Like you can always go for the classic or something that's
Right.
totally out of the box, whatever you want to do there. So I think this one was interesting, just seeing all the different iterations that could be happening. Okay, so another thing that I have been seeing and just really I gravitate towards this. And maybe this is just a trend that I'm seeing that I'm like, I want this for myself. Or like if you go this route, tell me about it. But this it's a very ethereal, a little bit vintage, and like very cinematic kind of feelings where it's just like everything is there's like a slight moodiness to it, but also like very elegant, rich, like luxurious feeling, but like in an understated way. I'm trying to explain it the best that I can. Please go watch those. But there really is this shift away from like cheesy, posed kind of feeling. Like, I think there is, and some people love it. So take this if you will, and some people hate it. But where it's coming into a way of like, this is a little bit more elegant and we're going to do this differently. I know some people are like, oh, don't treat your wedding like a photo shoot, but like, why not? It's your wedding day. Freaking do whatever you want. Like, I love the second video that we have in here where it is the seated like bridal portraits or like family portraits. I think those are so stunning. And I think that was done a long time ago. Like, I couldn't tell you exactly when, but like I remember seeing like those sort of like seated family pictures. It also almost gives like royal family photos. Like when I see those, like they are kind of posed or styled in that way. Specifically in this video that I picked though, I love the tapestry in the background. I love the texture and the pattern that they picked for the chair, like the sofa seat that they're sitting on. I think it's beautiful. I love that like that dad or the man, whatever, on the left side is sitting in his own chair. Like I think those elements add such richness to it, not like an expense, but just like the fullness of the feel of it, I think is so cool. And everything also like feeling very ethereal, very cinematic. I think whether that you do the like oversized drapery, the bouquets, I think that they chose in this was like very interesting, like abstract. But that adds like visual interest. The drapery, the vintage cakes, you've heard us talk about that before. I think we talked about that in our trends for like that we saw in this year, but also like I want to keep seeing it. I love those elements that like make it a callback to something that used to be, but it's almost a new spin on it that makes it really, again, ethereal is the word I keep coming back to. There are other ones too that are going to be coming up, like things that are retro, dark academia, maybe more celestial. Like those are some other words that you might be able to see, but there are so many ways to pull off these unique themes. And we have actually a whole episode where we talk about how to pull off a themed wedding. So go check that out. You'll get some ideas in there for like different ways that you can take this. But yeah, I think these like themed kind of feelings are so good. I love them.
Yeah, you should definitely go back and listen to our episode. It is called How to Pull Off a Themed Wedding because it dives a lot deeper into this. And we really talk about, like, I mean, at the end of the day, of course, you could do whatever you want to do, but this is a way to, I think, like, really elevate your wedding experience by having some sort of unique theme. And I love the idea of this, like a theme being more based off of like a feeling that you want people to feel, or like how you want just like the experience of your celebration to feel for your guests and yourself, obviously. So yeah, this like is a really great example of how to like have a themed wedding in a way that's like not Cheese Town at all, you know?
Right.
So I love these. I love these specific themes, all of the ones that you mentioned, like this cinematic, it's just so dramatic. I love the Dark Academia. I think that would just be so cool. And celestial themed, I can't quite picture what that would be, to be honest with you. But I will have to be doing some of my own TikTok research on that because I have a feeling I would really love it.
I think that one to me, in my mind went immediately to like if you're an ACOTAR girly, like, and you're thinking night court, like
Okay.
that's what I think of. But I know you were not an ACOTAR girly, so take that as you will. But like I love the idea of it being like, I don't know, like starry or sparkly, but also having like a darker, moodier feel of like the night sky. I don't know. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, and I'm not an ACOTAR girly, but I think I would like to be invited to that wedding. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So let us know. Let us know when it's happening. Okay. So I want to talk about this trend that we're seeing like play out in so many different ways. And I'm going to try and give a couple examples, but the interactive experiences that can happen at a wedding. So there are a lot of ways, again, that this can happen, whether that's like wedding activities that are truly just like, you can play cornhole during cocktail hour, like that we see a lot, but people taking that a step further, like obviously live music performances, like if you're hiring a band. I've also seen though like people like hiring a DJ but then like having like a saxophone guy come in and like do stuff. I don't know, interactive photo booth experiences that are more like, instead of just the traditional like photo booth with an iPad set up and like props, which is totally fine, people rent out those like actual vintage like photo booths where you can get the like strip of photos. Love those. I love it. Like there are so many things that I think can be played out so well in this. And so the video example that I have is just like for how you can do a creative spin on your table numbers, and that it's an interactive thing for them to be doing while they're sitting at the table, but then also something that you can come back and read year after year, which I think is really cool. I personally love the artists that come in and do things like paintings of like you and like your guest or like whoever you're with, or like if you're a group of people like doing a little quick sketch of you guys. I think that's super cool. Things that guests can experience at your wedding. So not just necessarily like a painter who's like painting something of like you during your day and then they work on that for the rest of the night, where like people are actually interacting. I've seen people come in who've done like fortune telling or palm readings or like tarot cards. We've seen people do like a cocktail hour where they have like hibachi happening, and then they're like actually engaging with like the cooking that's going on. Like hibachi, I feel like is a very cool experience when you're like seeing the cook like right in front of you. There's so many different things to do. And I think those interactive elements like really enhance the guest experience. Like I know it's all about you at the end of the day, like you're getting married, but it's just so fun to see when guests get to like have an additional experience there that goes above and beyond maybe what they were expecting. And I think that is like a really cool detail. And I think it adds, again, like fullness to the experience of the wedding. Instead of just like checking off boxes like, okay, we need to have a ceremony, we need to have a cocktail hour, we need to do the reception. Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to provide to your guests as part of this experience? And maybe your personal like interests and things can like help you figure out what maybe you would want to do that's an interactive experience, or like let TikTok or Pinterest tell you like what options are out there. I think there are a lot of cool ways you can do this.
Yeah, I think that like any way that you can like immerse your guests more in an experience rather than just going through the motions. Not that going through the motions and just like doing everything very traditional and by the book is like bad. It's still going to be a great time, I think, but it just makes everything so memorable, you know?
Yes.
So I love that.
And they're going to walk away from your wedding being like, remember how we did X, Y, and Z. Like, those are the things that I like to walk away with too. Oh, my friend had a ice cream truck at her wedding. So fun. Loved that.
Yeah, that is really fun. Okay, so one thing that I want to talk about are some twists that we're seeing on garters and veils. Garters and veils, like there's nothing new there. Obviously, like those have been around forever. But the first thing I want to talk about is veils. So The TikTok that I have linked for this, the creator talks about a few different trends, but I've kind of pulled these two things out of it. And one thing that I really loved or like examples that she showed were short veils being paired with long dresses and long veils being paired with short dresses. Like that sounds like really simple and kind of like, okay, but like seeing the pictures, watch the video, trust me, they look really cool. It's kind of like an edgy thing to do, I think, like just like that like mismatched like length situation. And yeah, I just think it looks really cool. There's nothing else besides that. I think it looks super cool. So I love that. And then another thing that she talks about in there are garters. So garters have been around forever, I think. Like I don't really know the traditional use of them. I guess like what, to keep your stockings up? Like
Yes,
I think, yeah, like that's what it was. So yeah, like I think that they've been used in weddings as an accessory for quite some time, but I think that it's like become one where it's like, that's okay. Like we can leave that out. Like the creator in the video that I have linked mentions that no one wants to see it being taken off, and like I could not agree more.
No.
Like let's stay away
Right,
from
yeah,
that. Like
no.
it's such a weird. Oh my god, it's so weird. Yeah, no one wants you to see it taken off, but I kind of want to blame Sabrina Carpenter in a positive way for like bringing this back, because when I saw this video, I immediately thought of like the costumes that she's been wearing on her tour, and I'm like, oh yeah. Like so I think that using the garter in more of just like a prop way or like a fashion way, like for photography, can be like really, really cute. Yeah, I just think it's a really cool, like the way that I've seen it used
Agreed.
in this video that I linked is really cool. Once again, please don't do like the taking off thing. It's weird, but the garter toss I think is still fine. Like that's kind of like a fun
Yeah.
thing that you can still do if you're wanting to like incorporate that. But at the very least, the thing I think is cool about it is like the photo opportunities that you have with it.
Yes, for sure. Like garter toss, that can go. I'm so sorry if you want to do that. Like I just makes me feel so uncomfortable. Again, I love the new takes on like old traditional elements that like I don't
Yeah.
know, reworking it in slightly more modern ways.
Okay, the next trend that I want to talk about is just going to be the rise of wedding content creators. So we love them. Caroline did a whole solo episode on this too. So you should definitely go and listen to that if you're confused about what the heck I'm even talking about, because Caroline has experience actually being a wedding content creator. But in like our culture, I guess, or just like the norm today is like social media is it. And like we still very much believe in like hiring out like traditional wedding photographer, videographer, like those are pieces of media that you absolutely want. But this addition of having some content that you're able to share, like it's specifically created for social media uses, is so incredible. So I think that this has started as like something that like influencers or like people like maybe in the public that just have like a big social media presence, I feel like that's maybe how it started. You know, like that's like what started happening, and they're like, well, I need to have someone to, you know, be updating my audience during my wedding. And so yeah, but we're seeing like content creators pop up all over the place as like service providers, and that's incredible. And we're seeing it being used like as regular people like way more often, like me who has
Yeah.
like under 200 Instagram followers on my personal account. Like I like, you know, have no business, like I'm not needing to update my audience, but you can still create like that stuff that can just be like easily shared on social media. I think it's so cool, and I love seeing the content
Yeah.
that these wedding content creators are making for people.
For sure. And I think a pro of it too is like your photographer, videographer, like they're going to take a while to get back to you with like a lot of your deliverables. Like maybe they'll send you a sneak peek of something, which is great. But a lot of times with those content creators, you're getting that like content back within 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like you're going to have that tangible stuff to like look back and relive your day. And like I think like a wedding video is great and all, like to relive your day, but it's a lot more posed. And in the stuff that you get in the wedding content creation, it is just like truly what is happening in your day, the authentic behind the scenes moments. This video, it like nails the feeling of it. It's so good. It's like these little pieces, and then when you put it together in that little video, the whole vibe comes across. And it feels nostalgic. I wasn't there. I don't know those people, but it feels so good to like see those types of videos. I don't know. I love this trend, and I hope I see more of it.
Yeah, and I think like just the biggest difference, like this is probably like a very obvious thing to say, but that type of content just like makes it feel so much like more casual in a way, or just like tangible, where like the like wedding videographer is going to create something that's so elevated it almost feels like a movie. Like these, like the wedding content creation stuff that they're making is going to feel like almost like reliving memories more so, because it's so much more like of like a POV type capture. So if that even makes any sense, I'm a fan of wedding content creators, though. All that to say.
Me too.
Okay, the next kind of trend that I'm seeing that I think I'm a fan of is going to be the no wedding party at all. Like not having a wedding party, not having bridesmaids, groomsmen, and just kind of skipping that part of it altogether. So the video that I linked, the creator of that video mentioned how she is not having a wedding party at her wedding, and she kind of gave her reasons why. And I kind of resonated with a few of those. She mentioned first that she didn't love the pressure that it would be putting on those people. And I don't know, I kind of like that because there are a lot of traditional like expectations that come along with being in someone's wedding party. You know, like of course there's going to be like a financial part of it, a cost, like rules that you kind of have to follow, like responsibilities that are put on you. So she really just kind of wanted to eliminate that pressure on people, and I think that that's kind of nice. Another thing that she mentions is she doesn't want the drama. So like maybe like you have like the type of group of friends or like people that you have in mind like that would possibly become members of your bridal party, and you can already see like the headache of like the drama that's going to come with it, and like you know, like feeling like you have to exclude certain people or whatever. It can eliminate drama. Like it's a real shame that like something happy like that has to come with drama, but it definitely can. And even like with like the chillest group of friends, like there can still be just drama that happens. It kind of just like is. Yeah. That's just life.
Yeah.
And what I really like about this though, like I guess like the no wedding party concept of a whole, or as a whole, is that like that feeling that like everybody's invited and like everybody has a seat at the table kind of thing. And like this is like,
sure.
You're all like, you're my guests, you're all important to me, you're all invited, you all have a seat at the table. And I think that's really cool. And I just like really like that mentality. And like, of course, like maybe someone who is like your super close friend or like your sister is going to be like a little bit more involved, just because that will naturally happen. But you know, like they don't necessarily have to be the maid of honor, you know what I mean? But yeah, I love that feeling of inclusion, and it kind of like pairs really well with like the intimate weddings that we've talked about.
Yes.
So yeah, I think I'm a fan of this, the no wedding party.
Yeah. And I think there's also like in-betweens of this, of like a traditional wedding party and a no wedding party. Like there are some in-betweens that I've seen that I really like, of like, I'm picking my sister to be my maid of honor. And so she will be standing up there with me, but I'm still inviting all of my closest friends to a bachelorette of sorts, or like to like get ready with me, like on the day of, like, so you're still creating those moments for like where your friendship and those relationships, like you get to pour into those on your wedding day and the festivities leading up to it. But I think you also can accommodate more people. Like you can have more people at a bachelorette party, because like you can invite 15 people. You wouldn't necessarily have a 15-person wedding party, maybe. But I think it cuts down on logistics, on the cost, and it just, reduces also the potential for drama. So I think there are some in-between kind of options too that I really love.
Yeah, the in-between options are great. Like, just like Caroline mentioned about, like, it doesn't mean, like, not having a wedding party doesn't mean that you can't have a bachelorette party or, like, whatever. Like, it doesn't mean you can't do those things. I recently had a childhood friend get married, and she did, like, a destination wedding, super small, and didn't have a wedding party. And she did still have a bachelorette party, and just kind of, like, extended, like, the invitation open house style to, like, all of the females that were invited. And I thought that was really cool. And it also doesn't mean that you can't do like another like secret, if you will, or like just like more private, like less talked about bachelorette party, like celebration with like a few of your closest friends and your sister or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those in-betweens are great, but I do really love the idea of kind of like dropping the formality there if that resonates with you. All right, the next thing that I'm really loving is going to be DIY things and handwritten details. Okay. I feel like I famously have said lots of times, like DIY with caution, like
Mm-hmm.
so, and I want to emphasize that again, just like even before I talk about this, because like, yeah, there are a lot of like DIY brides out there who like, whether it be because like you think that DIY is really fun or because you have a limited budget and you're trying to save money, like you're going to try to DIY a whole bunch of stuff for your wedding. DIY is very time consuming. It likely won't turn out exactly as you think it will, so you kind of have to like relinquish some control there. Yeah, it doesn't even necessarily mean that it will be cheaper because you just have to buy the stuff. It's just DIY can be very stressful. Okay, so I want to put that out there. But that being said, I've seen a trend more, and I think that once again, like you can tell what Caroline and I think are gravitating towards, because I think that what I'm about to talk about here in terms of all of the DIY and like the handwritten things, I think it just pairs really well with those intimate, like personal feeling celebrations, because I think that the way that I'm seeing DIY and handwritten elements like in a trendy way right now that I'm feeling like really drawn towards are just like another way to bring like a really personal touch into a wedding day. So the video that I have linked, the creator kind of talks about some DIY stuff, and yeah, it's even like down to like there's a photo that she had included, and I believe it's like the wedding cake table, and there's a quilt on top of it, and
Oh,
I don't know where that quilt came from, but like immediately I'm like, oh my gosh, like what if that's a quilt that like a family member made, or just like a quilt that has some sort of importance. Of course, like you're going to want to be careful not to get cake all over it. If it's like really special to you, like go ahead and get it dry cleaned afterwards. But the idea of that is just so cool and so sweet. And then handwritten details. Like I've seen this a lot, and like wedding calligraphers are nothing new. Like they've been around for a long time. So that isn't super new, but I think that in the past, ways that we've seen like handwritten stuff would be like a lot of signage at weddings and a lot of signage at weddings, okay? And I think that we're moving away from that, but we are like once again like I'm feeling very gravitated towards just anywhere that there's those personal touches. So like, you know, like a little bit of a special personal touch on like the invitation, if that's like calligraphy or, you know, something of the sort, I think is really cool.
I like it's like the down to earth details. And honestly, this quilt is killing me because
Yeah.
I followed this girl on Instagram. She was selling a quilt like that, and I like didn't buy it, but I'm like wondering if it's still available. I like actually I'm gonna
You
message her right
should
now and be
check
like,
and you should get that quilt.
it's beautiful. And I was like, I would
Yeah.
use that for a long time, and I'll save it for whenever my child gets married.
Love. Obsessed.
That's crazy of me. Whatever. I'm asking
Yeah.
her right now.
Caroline, as you're looking that up, I'm going to go ahead and venture into my next topic. And that is
100%.
going to be at home weddings. Okay, so this, like, once again pairs really well with like intimate, small weddings, micro weddings. We kind of touched on it like really early on in the episode as well. And I think it pairs really well with just like any type of like DIY and like personal elements. I think that like the more and more like I think as time goes on, sorry, I think like more and more personal touches are just going to like continue to be included in weddings, like moving away from that like really elevated formalized celebration into something that's just like more heartfelt and intimate. We're obsessed with that, and I think that it's just going to continue. So love that. But yeah, like the trend of at home backyard weddings is so sweet. And even if it's not in your home per se or your backyard, like your childhood home is really cool, or like if your grandparents have like a really beautiful space, like whatever that may be, I am such a huge fan of it. I think it's so cool. It can also save money, so that's a plus. But
Yeah.
I think just like the personal touch and like how it's like just like a beautiful piece of your love story, I think is just the coolest. And we do I have to add, have a full episode on how to pull off an at-home wedding celebration. So definitely go check that out in our episode library on our website, theguygalspodcast.com. You can find our full episode library there. But yeah, of course, there are some logistics that go into that, but
For sure.
to pull it off. But it is a trend that I just love so much.
Yeah, even if you don't do your like wedding there, I think even just doing like a rehearsal dinner or your bridal shower or like whatever other event, like it makes
It's so sweet.
I don't know. It's so homey and cozy and I love it.
Caroline, was the quilt still available?
I don't know, but I messaged her
Okay.
and she's online right now, so I'm like,
We could get an answer live on the podcast.
"Oh my gosh." We'll find out.
Please.
Quaking in my boots.
Okay, so the last trend that we're going to talk about, Caroline and I kind of like, as we pulled together our content for this episode, we realized that these two paired really well together. So, we're going to be talking about maximalist decor at weddings and kitsch weddings. So, overall, this is going to be just like pulling in, like having a lot of fun with your decor, with like your styling, all of it, like whatever. I think this once again pairs super well with like DIY, almost like handwritten things, or even stuff that appears to be DIY.
Yeah.
Like using that and just bringing in stuff that like has like a sentimental feel, rather than like that super like elevated, like almost like untouchable like vibe, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I think I like the term kitsch because it's like it's something that's like ironic. Oh wait, I looked up the definition because I was like, I need to. Okay, it's considered to be in poor taste but appreciated in an ironic or knowing way. So
Ooh,
they
that's
use
fun.
lava lamp as an example where it's like
Yeah.
a lava lamp is like kind of dated, but it's also like really cool in its own way. It can also have excessive garnishness or sentimentality. But it is like it's over the top. It is like I don't know. I like the retro vibe to it. The one that I picked, like there are tons of examples of like kitsch weddings, but I think it also like has very heavy elements of maximalist decor where like it is just vibrant, it is full, it's lush, it's a like maybe feels a little bit over the top, but in a way that's like done really well. Like
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. I love the like layering of it. In the example that Chelsea picked, the flat lay was so well done.
Yeah.
I feel like that one was like so fun and so cool. So I don't know. I feel like this is something that we're going to see a lot more of. And I do think also in the video, like she says like, we are moving away from the clean lines and pompous grass and neutrals. Like
Yes.
I think that's always going to be in style. Like, but obsessed with the bold colors, the like really interesting textures and like not thought about as often kind of details that we're pulling in such a like dramatic way, but still keeping it as like really cohesive and really streamlined. Like nailing that on the head is really hard, but when you do it right,
Yeah.
so good. It's so good.
Yeah, and I think that it's easy to think that like when you look at like especially the examples of the TikTok that's the creator speaking to the camera talking about the kitsch weddings, it's easy to think that like, oh my gosh, it's just like a bunch of stuff thrown together and like there wasn't a bunch of like intentional thought put behind it, but like Caroline just said, in order to pull it off correctly, or not correctly, okay, but pull it off in a way that's like, wow, like really beautiful and like just, I don't know, really great, is it's difficult to do. So yeah, there's like a lot of thought behind it, but I think that like without getting too, if this is something you're trying to achieve for your own celebration, like I think without getting too overwhelmed by like, oh my gosh, like how do I make it look like a little chaotic, but like also it's not chaotic at all because I thought through everything. I
Right.
think like at the end of the day, pulling in elements that speak to you and like feel special to you, and your love story is going to like be like a great starting point and like a great way to like achieve this, because
Yes.
yeah, I think that's the best. Like if there's like little pieces of stuff that just feel special and yeah, like tell a piece of your love story, I think is really the best
Yeah.
ever.
Oh my gosh, it's the best. Honestly, I feel like all of these trends kind of lean into that. Like, you want to be able to tell your love story and it connect to your personality, whether that be through like the like handwritten details or DIY things or the attire that you're choosing or having it be in your backyard. Like, I love the emphasis of that we're putting onto it of like it should really reflect you and your love story. That's always what it's been about, truthfully. But like just the way that it plays out, it looks a little bit different. We're assuming in 2025, and we're really interested to see how that all happens. And honestly, you guys, like I like we did this episode layout the way that it is because you can use TikTok and Instagram and Pinterest to help you decide on like what is up and coming or what are some unique things that I can add to my wedding day. And we really encourage you to continue to use these things. Like obviously we love talking about them on the podcast, but use these types of tools to help you like further figure out like what do I want to add, what do I want to leave behind. And also as a huge caveat, and like please hear us when we say this, like take what you want and take everything else with a grain of salt. Like there are trends for a reason. Like there are things that like will stand the test of time and there are things that won't, but that doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing. If you want to do something that's trending and you can already anticipate like in 10 years this might be like a little bit cheesy, who cares? Like kitsch weddings might be like that kind of thing. If this is going to be a good reflection of you and how you feel and how you want your day to be, run with it. And if there are trends that you're like, I don't really love that, leave it behind. Like do what you will with this information, but like it is just so fun to see what is up and coming, new ways that people are thinking about this, how weddings and all of these things evolve. Like, yeah, truly super fun. So we loved using TikTok as our like guinea pig for this. There are lots of other ways that you can use social media in this way. But again, take what you will with trends.
Yeah. Yeah. Take what you will. We love trends and talking about them. So, yeah, that's always super fun for us. But if there are any trends that you have like had on your eye that you think we missed, like please let us know. We would love to hear from you on that. Or if you have any questions on really anything wedding planning related, please let us know. You can reach out to us on our website contact page. Our website is theguidegalspodcast.com. And on our website, you can find our full episode library. So we have lots of content there for you to explore, and we have lots of free resources on there as well, so free downloadable things that can help you in your planning journey. You can also connect with us on Instagram at the Guide Gals Podcast. We're on TikTok at the Guide Gals Pod, and all of our episodes have a video version of them, and that's all on the Here Comes the Guide YouTube channel. So yeah, connect with us there in those places.
We would love that. Guys, that is all for our episode today. We talked about a lot, and this is episode 52. So now you have a whole year's worth of episodes to listen to. So if you want to hear more from us, you let us know. But also there's tons of content for you to explore if this is one of the first episodes you're listening to. So check it all out. But until next time, cheers.
Until next time, cheers.